Welcome to the first video in a 7-part series. I am Nick Ronald and I'm the founder of this group, the #1 copywriting community, to help people improve their skills in this essential area of copywriting, essential for any business you're in. So this is a 7-part series that goes with the ebook I posted in the group, How to Write Killer Headlines. So I hope you've downloaded it and read it, and this video series will go with it. So every video will work through one of the steps or techniques in the PDF. So the first step I'm going to be sharing today is the first one in the PDF. It's the worst one in How to Write Killer Headlines. It's the basics, the essential building blocks for writing a killer headline. And I know sometimes with these basics, people always say, but it's so obvious, I don't even know this, why are you doing this, it's so basic. Well, to start with, people's level of skills, copywriting varies. So some people will be a novice starting out and other people will be quite proficient and have a lot of expertise. So of course, it's good to have a range of techniques to cover all levels. But secondly, also, I've heard it so many times by people say, it's so obvious, it's so basic, and they're not doing it. If it's so obvious and basic, why isn't everyone doing it? Everyone should be doing it. And if you can't get the basics right, then you're certainly not going to get the next level, the more advanced, in-depth, clever techniques right. You have to start with the basics. The basics are the essential. So that's why I will always start with some of the basics, because they have to be right. They have to be automatic. You have to get these right before you move on to the other levels. So, when you read a headline, you have about 3 to 5 seconds to catch someone's attention and keep it. People, less attention than ever nowadays. You don't have long. Don't waste it. So don't waste any time. Don't waste people's attention. Use words with a purpose. Every word should have a meaning and a purpose and intention. If it's not, don't include it. Don't have waffle. Don't waste people's time. Don't waste words. So there are 3 C's which are universal to communications, which I often talk about. And the first one is being clear. So if people have to read a headline twice, that's not a good sign. People should immediately know what the headline refers to, what gives a little inkling to what the content is going to be about, in what the copy is going to tell you, what the content is going to teach you or share with you. So it's got to be clear. The only exception to this, if it's something that's intriguing you and it's acting as a hook. So again, you know the context, but it's not 100% clear, but it's enough to say, yeah, okay, you've got me, I want to read more. So, but generally there's a good rule for any copy is be clear. People have to understand it. If people have to read it again and think, you're going to lose them. People have time to reread and reread. The second C is being concise. So, as I said earlier, in copy, short sentences, short words, short paragraphs. Copy should be aimed for the level of a 10 to 13-year-old overall, unless it's a specific audience where certain jargon, certain terminology is expected and would make sense to be used. So keep it clear, keep it concise, keep it punchy, keep it direct. Third C. So we've got clear, concise, and now consistent. So consistent. There's 2 types of consistency I refer to. One is consistency of style and branding, tone of voice. So what is your style? What's your branding? Do you go for the formal approach, or are you more informal? Do you use humour? Do you use a certain type of language? Whatever style you use, when you speak to your audience, make sure you use it all the time. And this should be reflected in all copy, all channels, including your headlines. Be a reflection of your branding, your style, and your character there. Also, consistency. Consistency within an article. Consistency of your message and the way you're saying that message. You certainly don't want to have facts or messages that contradict each other. There's got to be consistent. Everything you do have to match to reinforce the message you're saying. So 3 C's communication, all copy, headlines no different, is 1, clear, 2, consistent, concise, and 3, consistent. Okay, so the truth is that the headline is the most important piece of any copy. The headlines catch your attention in 3 to 5 seconds and keep it. It's got to be like that gateway to get you to read on to the rest of the copy. And the rest of the copy is the part that's going to engage with you. It's going to inform you, inspire you. It's going to encourage you. It's going to influence you. It's going to take you down a little funnel that you built until I take the call of action you want. It all starts with the headline. So the best numbers for any words for any headline, well, this does vary depending on the channel, but certainly for an online headline, I would say 3 to 5 words. I mean, if you look, offline channels can be longer, particularly some magazines or newspapers. But if you look at billboards or posters and signs, you know, when you're walking through the town or shopping centre, or underground station, those typically are around three words. They're often very short, very snappy, because they've got seconds to catch people's attention as they're walking by. And 3 in communications is a magic number. So generally 3 to 5 words, depending on the channel. And also, one interesting point about posters and signs and billboards is that often the headline's a tagline. So the headline is the statement, the question sometimes, and that is what they're not only used to hook you on, but it's also what they want you to remember. It's their slogan, it's a saying. The headline and tagline are the same. The next thing I'm going to say is that the headlines is the first impression for any copy. Now, you can make numerous impressions on people, and every time you have contact with someone, whether it's in person, offline, online, you're making contact, you're making an impression. You want to build up impressions, lots of touch points, lots of impressions, build up a relationship so that they'll become customers and loyal customers, interested and engaged. But you can only make one first impression, and that headline is that first impression. When you see a post or an article or an advert, you know, the headline is the first part of the impression. So people are increasingly overwhelmed with information, and particularly on social media. You know, we scroll through the height of the Eiffel Tower, some people say, on Facebook and Twitter every day. So, you know, we're swamped with it. So you've got to make your headline stand out. It's got to be clear and effective and stand out, because you've got a small window of opportunity to get people to stop, listen or read and act. And every online or offline post or article must have 3 steps. It starts with the headline, then there's the content, which adds some value, and then at some point there's some call of action. So this process, you know, varies in complexity and also in time, depending on what the message is and what the call of action is. But there's always that process. So just to go back to some basics, you don't have a business without customers. You don't have a business without sales. If you don't have any customers, you're not making any sales, you don't have a business, we won't have it very long. So you need to continually try and get new customers, get more sales, and build loyalty for customers so they become fans. Because you have to convince them to listen or read and buy. And if you don't do that, you haven't got a business. So the question to ask is always, would someone read my headline twice? When they've written it, would someone read it twice? Do they get it? Or are they intrigued by it? Would they read on? Ask yourself this, ask someone else this. They have to be 100% clear on what the headline is describing, or at least intrigued to read on. If it's too vague, it's not going to have any impact. So there must be a reaction in emotion or state, ideally, at some level when they read a headline. There's got to be some connection. So remember, to keep your headline clear, understandable, words they can know and recognise, and the meaning is either really obvious or it's intriguing enough to make them want to hook it in, but it's got to be clear. Clear, concise, short, sharp, punchy, to the point, and consistent. Consistent with any other messages you give, consistent with your brand, your style, your tone of voice. And that's it. Hope it's helpful. First step in writing 7 steps to writing killer headlines is getting the basics right. So whatever you do, write it, check it, edit it, check it, rewrite it, check it. You can't check things too many times, you know, but certainly it's always good to get someone else to look at it, but practice and enjoy.